Welcome back to our Web Extra. We are talking today with John Nichols from the Capital Times and The Nation, and Christian Schneider from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Wanted to spend a couple of minutes on the U.S. Senate race here in Wisconsin in 2018, which has the makings, at least early on, of a pretty lively race. Is this a first? Give us a perspective on Tammy Baldwin as she tries to get reelected. How difficult an election is this likely to be for her, John?
Look, any sitting senator in a swing state, it's always a serious election. Don't underestimate that. Here's the thing about Tammy Baldwin, is that while she doesn't always come across as a particularly aggressive politician, she's never lost a race. She's actually very, very good at figuring out the year. She figured Tommy Thompson out and did him in 2012. And so I think she begins with a relative strength, but whoever the Republican nominee against her is will have a tremendous amount of money, and I think it'll be a very mean race, one of the ugliest races Wisconsin has seen. The big question, is not about that fall race. I think the parameters of that are well defined. What I think is a big question is how ugly, how mean, how expensive is the Republican primary, and that theoretically could have some impact on November.
Do you see it being ugly and mean and tough, the primary, Republican primary?
Yeah, we're already starting to see kind of the candidates go at each other. Right here in Wisconsin, as is normally the case, you almost have a microcosm of what's going on nationally within the Republican Party. You have Leah Vukmir, who people think is kind of more the establishment candidate, and then you have Kevin Nicholson, who's kind of an up-and-comer, former Democrat, recently a Democrat, and backed by Steve Bannon and kind of the Trump wing of Republicans right now. So you're going to see those two kind of wrestle for the heart of the Republican Party, which is going on nationwide. A couple weeks ago, or a week ago, you had Kevin Nicholson actually kind of taking shots at Paul Ryan, saying, he's got a light footprint in the state. And that's right out of the Bannon playbook. I mean, Bannon hates Paul Ryan. He said some very horrible things about him, wants to take him down. So it's more than a little ironic to me that Nicholson is taking cues from a national alt-right figure like Bannon to accuse Paul Ryan of not being local enough, which just seems insane to me. But yeah, I mean that's where we're headed in the Republican primary.
Nicholson's people seem to feel it will be the year of the outsider, that it remains the year of the outsider, and that's the place to be. They see him as that guy. Do you think that's a fair characterization? Is he?
Well, he's central casting, right? There's not a lot. We don't have a lot of storyline on him except what he wants to write on the page. What we have found in contemporary politics is that a candidate like that who has massive amounts of money behind them, in an era where a lot of our traditional political coverage is dumbed down, and we have less of it, except on this show. And but I'm not kidding about that. You can really write your narrative, and Nicholson it's clear that's the intention with him. I'll say something here, and then a year from now you can come back and haunt me on it.
You predicted Trump. I don't know.
For what it's worth. Yeah. But I will say if Nicholson wins the Republican primary, Walker loses the governorship.
Why do you say that?
Because I think it really is a year of the outside. It's a year of change. It's like that. There's a volatility to the year that we didn't expect, and I know that there'll be people that say, "Well, that's absurd. That doesn't work like that." But that's the bottom line. If we are in so volatile a year that somebody who is literally cookie cutter, kind of right off the factory line of the Republican establishment, Vukmir, right, and money in the whole bit, if she can't secure a Republican nomination in Wisconsin with all of the infrastructure that should be around her, then we are in a much more volatile moment than you thought. Now, that could be harmful for Tammy Baldwin. She is the sitting senator. But what I am saying is that's something that Scott Walker is a smart enough man that he'll recognize those dynamics. And so I'll backtrack a little bit and say maybe he survives. But the bottom line is if Nicholson wins, everybody's going to kind of be rewriting the storyline and a little bit freaked out. One final thing is don't be certain that it's only two candidates in the Republican primary.
And you still think somebody like Eric Hovde could get in?
There's a lot of time to get in there, and if these two start beating the hell out of each other, we have a wonderful history in the state of Wisconsin of the Russ Feingold story, right? Where he got in that race in 1992. He didn't have the money, he didn't have all the other advantages, but when the other two beat him up. So if I was advising one of these other people, I might say, take a look at that.
The only thing I would add to your prediction is that they're going to be two separate elections. So I mean, you have the primary election, and if there's a huge surge for kind of a new Republican like Nicholson, I don't necessarily know that carries into the fall election with Scott Walker, because I think it'll all depend on if there is a surge of that type of Republicanism, how well Walker does in attracting.
Keep it
can
in?
Can he keep it in? And I think he'd be able to.
I think he can, and so I'm cautious about it. What I'm saying though more broadly is that the volatility of the moment, whether it's in a Republican primary or beyond it, is something that we who punditize might want to pause for a second and realize that we have a president that not many people thought was coming, and we have a lot of other bizarre and complicated things happening in American politics right now. And so if we've got an outsider beating, kind of, again, the stamped, imprinted face of the Republican Party, that's a big deal.
John Nichols and Christian Schneider, always good to have you on the program. Thanks for being with us for today's Web Extra.